With this video, I'm going to show you how I do my leaves. Now there's several types that I do, and I start with a darker green and a light green. These actually happen to be folk art, basil green and hunter green this time around. And like I said, I'm double loading my brush, getting it into it well loaded. This is a number 12 flat, but you adjust your brush size to the size of leaf you're going to make. Now this one I'm going to do my scallop leaf. This is a lot I use a lot on my rose paintings. That's what I put under the rose. And if you notice, well, that's a little bit too much on there. I first created the V, and then I just set brush on chisel edge, press it down, and I just kind of wiggle. Doesn't have to be too dramatic of a wiggle. I let the brush turn and lift to a point. And if you need to reload, make sure it's not too gloppy on there. Now I make my leaves with the light side of the brush against the dark, and you can kind of work your paint a little bit, and then like I said, I'm just wiggling gently, twisting my brush in my fingers. See, I twist, and then I come to a point, and I attempt to come to a point at the same spot that I did previously, so I don't have two leaf points. We'll do that again. I'll go back to my palette and I reload my brush, and then I make my V. I don't always make my V, sometimes I just start, but for your benefit, I'll make the V, and I just press, wiggle, and come to a point. Reload, and I'm not too worried about it. It kind of was dry there. And I'm actually painting, this is cardstock that I just got at Staples or Walmart or something. And it really works well for practicing on. Very inexpensive. And the paint flows well on it. So you see me wiggling, and then coming to a point and coming over that area. And I kind of, because my stroking is being exaggerated for your benefit, it overlapped that some and made it kind of a long point, but that's not a big deal. You notice I get kind of some paint gloppy in the middle. I don't worry about that. On the chisel edge, I'll draw in my vein or stems, and it'll drag through it a little bit and bring it down. To avoid that, or try to avoid it, you're not going to avoid it completely, because the inside is always going to be not pulling off as much paint, so it's going to sometimes make a ridge. I just leave that for texture. But you can kind of, when you load your brush and you know that that side's going to be on the inside, you just kind of dot it off some of the excess paint. And that should help make it not so gloppy in the middle. Now also, here's my one stroke or slide leaf. I take, and I'm kind of angling it. I'm not going flat. See, flat. You can do that and just pull in. But I angle it and then pull in. It's a little bit dry here. There. And then when I draw my stem, I'm leaning back onto this corner. So it's not dragging the full brush. And I will be the first to admit that a lot of times I'm too heavy-handed. My stems will get too wide, too thick. And you see, I'm not starting this way. I'm starting like this. Pressing, pulling towards myself, and lifting. And if I have an end I don't like, I do it over and pull my stem in. Now also, sometimes I like to get a rounded leaf effect. And I do that with a filbert. This is a number 8 filbert. And you can do this two ways of loading. I'll show you. You can load one side and then the other, and then come in and just press, lift, press, lift, you get the striations and the different colors in there. And usually the color that's on the one side, as you practice, you'll figure out which one will be the dominant color of your leaf. But if you can just flip back and forth because not all leaves are exactly colored alike. And that's how I get a more rounded leaf that I really like. Now, I will try to do, these are hard for me. I've got to really think about it. These next ones, they're kind of like grape leaf or other. Let's see, let me do this. And you're kind of wiggle, 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 come out to a point, come back, wiggle, 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 come out to a point, come back, and then come to a point. And it makes a, I don't know, like grape leaf, maple leaf. I did this for my fall leaf tutorial. Let me see, let's do that again. I'm on the V with the chisel edge of my brush, press down, and I wiggle, 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 come out to a point, come back, wiggle, 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 come out to a point, come back, and bring it up. Now you notice I didn't get it to meet in the middle. That's not a big deal. Drag in your stem, and it's taken care of. Now there's a million different ways you can go with that leaf, and it takes practice. A lot of times I will outline it, and then I can fit my strokes within the outline, and I'll get more of the shape that I like. As I said before, I don't use them a lot, so I'm not very proficient with doing those leaves. Now for a long leaf, I'm trying to fit this in the camera here and turn it around, kind of like an iris. And on my iris video, I showed you the long leaves. I would just start on the flat of my brush, widen out, and I'm twisting as I go. And try not to get a double tip. I have a struggle doing that. I try to do it too fast or what have you. And the same here, come out, drag, and then lift to a point. And you can go over it if you don't like how it's coming out. Drag and come up to a point. And you can go over it again. Now to do a leaf that kind of flips over, you go up, flat, come to a tip, drag to the side. You see me dragging to the side. And then you come down. You can do it in one motion, but I was trying to break it up so you kind of see how you can do that. Now some leaves are cupped, and to get that effect, I would go along, you see how this has light on this side, dark on that side, and I would kind of go along the outside edge with the light, and you kind of blend it in, make it match, but that makes it look cupped because there's the dark in the center. And if you don't think so at first, walk away and then come back. Let it dry, and then you'll see where it looks cupped. Or you can go along here with an even lighter green along the edge, and that'll highlight it and give you that effect. And go in and fix what you don't like. It's not like it's, you know, rocket science. You bring in your grassy pieces with the chisel edge of your brush. And I'm trying to think if there's another type of leaf. I've seen some, and let me see if I can do it here. I've not done this very well. But it's called the squishy leaf. You sit, you put your brush down, press it flat, kind of go backwards and frontwards, and it kind of gives it a jagged edge, and it's just a different type of leaf. And I might need, this brush has a lot of spring, so it might not do as well as a softer brush. It seems to drag a lot of my paint out. But you can see how you can make different leaves that way. Now another way you can do the scallop leaf is you can do do as I said. Do your scallop, pull it out. You can make these longer and narrower. It's just how how long you put the pressure on and drag your brush out. Now this time I'm going to do the light against the light, and you'll see how it has a different effect than the light against the dark. And you can pull in your stem. If it was light in the middle, I'd pull a dark stem in. And there is another scallop type leaf. And that's pretty much it. Now to get shadow leaves, which with any of these methods you would mix. Here I'm sticking some, putting some. This is Folk Art Floating Medium. And I would clean out my brush. This is just an old t-shirt I have sitting here. And then I still have paint in my brush, but I'm working in the floating medium. And you see how it's a very transparent color. Now a lot of times I'll put these in behind a design and they kind of just fade into the background. It's a very transparent color. And this works, like I said, well to put in the background of designs. It just gives you some interest. And that is my basic leaf painting tutorial. If I think of any other leaves, I'll add to this later. And happy painting.